Have you ever stared at a crossword puzzle and all you see is, well, a bunch of empty boxes? Today, we're going to look at it a little differently, not just as a game, but as a map for a story, where every single word is a step on a journey. Let's get into it.
So, this is our map, and as we start to follow the clues and fill in the words, a story is going to start to take shape. It's a story about big dreams, big problems, and a breakthrough you might not see coming. We're going to follow the words locked inside this grid and see how a few simple concepts can literally build an entire world.
All right, every good story needs a beginning, and ours kicks off with our main character, Alex, who has a goal that's both really simple and incredibly ambitious. And it all begins with just one powerful word.
Endeavor. Now, this isn't just giving it a try. An endeavor is a purposeful attempt. It's got passion baked into it, serious effort, and a really clear vision. This single word right here is the engine that gets our whole story moving.
So, what was Alex's big endeavor? To take this forgotten, overgrown patch of land and turn it into a vibrant community garden. A place for people to connect, grow their own food, and just build something beautiful together. A truly serious and purposeful attempt. But as we all know, even the best plans, well, they tend to run into trouble. And here we go. Here comes the conflict. Because no journey is ever just a straight line, right? Alex finds out pretty quickly that the road from a neglected lot to a beautiful garden is packed with some really unexpected and frustrating problems. The first big challenge, the intricacies. I love this word because it captures the problem perfectly. It's not one giant monster Alex has to fight. Oh no, it's 1,000 tiny ones. All those small, complex, detailed parts that can bring any grand vision to a screeching halt. And what did those intricacies actually look like? Well, they looked a lot like this. All of a sudden, it wasn't about planting seeds anymore. It was about soil chemistry and sun patterns. It was trying to coordinate dozens of different schedules, figuring out organic pest control, and even navigating local water rights. Every little detail was a new headache. All of these tiny, frustrating details led to a much bigger problem, a core conflict that we can sum up with our next word, paradox. That situation that just seems to defile logic, where the more you do, the worse things get? And this is the paradox Alex was completely trapped in. The whole goal was to create order, a perfectly planned garden. But the result of all that planning? Total chaos. The more spreadsheets Alex made, the more rules they put in place, the more complicated and stuck the whole project became. It's such a frustrating place to be, isn't it? So what do you do? I mean, really, what do you do when pushing harder just makes everything worse? Do you give up? Or is there another way? Well, the answer is in our next word. You stop pushing and you ponder. You just take a step back and think, deeply, carefully. You trade all that frantic action for some focused reflection. And that is exactly what Alex did. Instead of whipping up another color-coded chart, Alex just sat down on an old bench, looked out at this messy, stalled project, and just pondered. Not about the schedules or the soil pH, but about the real problem. Why was all of this going so wrong? This quiet moment of reflection is what leads us right to the story's turning point, the epiphany. That classic aha moment, where the solution that was right there the whole time suddenly becomes crystal clear. And what sparked this epiphany was a phenomenon, just an observable event. Something really simple, something Alex had probably seen 100 times before, but never truly noticed. Not until that moment of quiet pondering. So what was this remarkable phenomenon? In a forgotten corner of the lot, a vibrant patch of wildflowers was just thriving. No planning, no watering, no pest control. With absolutely zero human help, nature was succeeding where all of Alex's meticulous plans had completely failed. That simple observation set off a kind of chain reaction. Alex saw the phenomenon of the wildflowers, pondered what it really meant, and that helped to elucidate or just clarify a totally new way forward. The goal wasn't to create one perfect plan anymore, but to braid all these different ideas into one strong solution. To elucidate, the wildflowers just made everything click. The problem wasn't a lack of planning, it was the wrong kind of planning. Alex had been trying to force this rigid system onto a living, breathing space.
The wildflowers clarified that the real goal had to be working with the chaos, not fighting against it. And that brings us to our next key action: to braid. This is such a great word for what happened next. It's not about choosing one idea and throwing out another. It's about weaving all these different elements together until they form a single, strong, unified whole. So that's what Alex started to do: braiding, weaving the lesson from the wildflowers. Work with nature, let some things be wild, together with what the community actually needed. The single master plan was tossed out, and instead they started combining ideas, creating a garden that was part planned, part wild, and 100% collaborative. And this new approach, this idea of braiding instead of commanding, leads us to the final resolution of our story. This is the payoff for all of that struggle and reflection.
The really crucial thing here is that Alex's role completely changed. Instead of trying to control everything, Alex started to foster the garden, to encourage its growth. The focus shifted from rigid rules to gentle nurturing, basically creating an environment where good things could finally start to happen all on their own. And the result of all of this, the endeavor, the paradox, the pondering, the braiding, was our final and most powerful word: transform. To change something, not just on the surface, but to change its fundamental form and character. And that is exactly what happened. The neglected lot, which was once a symbol of total frustration and stalled plans, was transformed. It became a thriving, beautiful, kind of chaotic community garden. A place where neighbors gathered, where kids learned about where food comes from, and where, yes, a patch of wildflowers was always left to grow in the corner, just as a little reminder. And so, we come all the way back to our map. Every single word we followed found its place in the story. Every one of those abstract concepts, from paradox to phenomenon, found a home in a real, tangible outcome. The grid is complete. The world has been built. So we used 10 words to tell the story of a garden. But these words, endeavor, paradox, foster, transform, they aren't just for stories, are they? They're part of our lives, our work, our own challenges. So the question I want to leave you with is this. These words told one story. What words are writing yours?